Okay, we're live. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Unconventional Asians, our weekly live stream. And today, with the honor of interviewing Toni Liu from LT Nomad, or the leader of the group Acceptsians. And we've known each other since the beginning of this journey. So I'm so glad that we get to do a formal interview and sharing her story because she's really cool, super badass. She came from a more traditional family with a STEM field being a doctor, but then she found her way, and then she's going to be, well, I mean, she is a nomad and also a life coach. So I can't wait to dig in your story and share, your inspiration with the rest of the world. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Clover, and thank you for this opportunity to come on your channel officially.
Yeah, finally. I know we've been like talking so much in the background, but we're finally here to really show the world and your mission. Because like have such a kind heart with a lot of compassion with your group, the Acceptsians, where you promote self-love and self-acceptance. So before we dive into that, do you want to share a bit about like where your journey began and where you are today, like when you were a doctor and how you kind of become a nomad?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, my journey's been a long one. It basically took me up to 30 years of my life to make that change for myself. And it started, I think, when I was 25, just feeling like, okay, I've just followed this path. I got into medical school from high school, so I just never questioned it. I always dreamt of being a cartoonist, though. I love art, I love being creative, and that was my childhood dream. I was drawing all the time. But of course, being from a strict Asian family, and they were just like, "Oh, you live out of a box. That's not a real career. You better pick doctor, lawyer, or engineer and go ahead."
Right.
And I was like, "Well, I guess they know better. They have more life experience."
Mm-hmm.
So I just went ahead and did that. But then it just like it's when it something just does not feel right in your soul and you're not aligned, and it just gets louder and louder. And it took me a long time. My one of my turning points was going skydiving and
Mm.
realizing that like, oh wow, no, I'm not afraid if something bad happens, because I was like, then at least I don't have to finish medical training. Like I was like,
Mm.
oh my God, how did I get to that point? And medical training is
Yeah,
really long. It's 4 years of college, 4 years of
right.
medical school, and then 3 to 7 years, depending on your specialty of medical training. And I tried out
Mm.
two residency programs. So I really tried to make medicine work. I started in a more surgical field, which was women's health, gynecology, and obstetrician. I was delivering babies. I was doing
Oh,
surgeries for women. I really care strongly about women's equality and minorities' rights and just equality and fair treatment for everyone. And so I felt that part was aligned, but the day to day of
mm.
doing medicine and all the science behind it just didn't bring me joy, didn't fill me up. And I felt like I couldn't live my real life in my pockets of free time left over, because if you're working, I was working sometimes 80 to 100 hours a week, and
Wow.
then really had very little time left for my true self. And so it just took me years to prepare. I tried out family medicine next, which is more of a primary care in the office, seeing patients. And that was good because I got to build longer relationships, and I liked that,
Mhm.
and spend more time and be their main doctor and really help them. And there's a lot of overlap with some mental health as well, but still just didn't feel right. And I was like, I'm going to go and live life according to me. I've spent too long trying to
Mm.
listen to my family or other people, or trying to get guidance and validation from outside, when all the
Yeah.
answers were in here all along.
Oh.
And my dream of being a nomad too just came from doing some rotations abroad. I'm from
Mm.
China, and I moved here when I was 3, and we moved around until I was 10, mostly on the East
Ah.
Coast of the US. But I think I always just had that in me, that adventurous spirit, that curiosity for other people and learning about their
Mhm.
cultures. So when I did rotations in Taiwan and Japan and parts of China, and I
Wow.
learned acupuncture and holistic medicine, I was just like, oh my
Mm.
gosh, there's a huge world out there. I really
Yeah.
want to see. I don't want to wait until I'm retired at age 65 to start traveling. Who knows how my health will be and what my family situation is going to be like. And so, yeah, at age 30, I was like, okay, finally, I finished my medical training, and I left. I left to start traveling, and I went to Europe and Morocco. And that was
Wow.
amazing. And then COVID hit, unfortunately. So I've been grounded the
Mm.
past year.
Right.
But I'm getting back on the road just in a different way, just traveling
Mm,
more within the US
yeah,
and more mindfully with masks and going mostly to
of course.
national parks and nature places. So yeah, in a
Mm.
nutshell, sorry, that's a long-winded answer.
No, that's amazing. Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. My question is because, in the traditional Asian household, I'm sure that could be quite shocking for your parents to kind of reconcile what your decision. So how do you kind of figure that out? Like how did you come to terms with that, or
Yeah.
talk to your parents about it?
It was a long process. It took many, many, many discussions, many, many, and still ongoing discussions too.
Hmm.
They think I've gone crazy. They think they think I'm too idealistic and my head's in the clouds. And one day I'm going to realize the harsh reality is that you can't
Mm,
really do what you want. You just have to do what you have to do. And I see
mm,
that now that it's just a generational gap in our cultures. They
yeah.
came from poverty and from
Hmm.
a world that was so different. And I feel so grateful for the opportunities that I've been given because they raised me in a
Oh, uh-huh. Oh, there she is. Coming
oh
back.
no,
There you go.
we're back.
Awesome.
Okay.
Good. That was quick though.
Yeah, yeah. And so they really came from a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And I think that they're just as for them, it's just about money, putting food on the table, stability,
Mm,
having that.
yes.
And so they can't see like the self-actualization above that those pyramid of the basic needs. So
Yeah.
I think I just learned I personally learned to agree to disagree. I kind of see the
Mm,
limitations of all of our backgrounds, and I just tell them when they try to they still keep trying to tell me their point of view and push their values on me, but I'm just like, thank you for your advice, I'm still going to do my own thing, but I really
mm,
appreciate that you care about me. Like I see that it's because they love me and
yeah.
they're afraid that if I
Of
choose this
course.
uncertain path and
Hmm.
lifestyle that uh, I'll be like they called me a homeless hobo, broke, loser,
Mm,
failure, all these things, and try because in their mind it's their way sort of expressing their love and concern. They're just like, well, we just
right.
want you to be safe, and they keep saying, oh, as a
Yeah.
nomad, you're never going to be able to find a partner to settle down and have a family with. You're going to die alone, and
Mm,
we're worried about that, and all these things.
words of
But
negative reinforcement.
seriously, yeah, like our comic, which I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
like
So
never
we
go.
had, right, we had a Five Love Languages, the Asian edition,
Yes.
where we talk about how usually words of affirmation is what a lot of people prefer, which is actually my number one.
Oh,
And
cool.
in the Asian community or our parental generation, it seems to be words of negative reinforcement, picking out the negative parts of what we can fix
Yeah.
in expression of love, because that way they think you'll become a better person, and
Yeah.
that means that they care about you. But like in reality, I think that philosophy of teaching kids, it's now a bit backwards and
Mhm.
outdated. It might work back in the day, but if anything, right now is kind of demoralizing
It
to
is.
be, yeah, constantly be reminded of lack instead of that we are enough, and then just giving us grace and patience to work towards our dreams. Yeah, so good for you for it, like, setting that boundary with your parents. How do you emotionally regulate yourself when they're saying those things to you? Because that must be very difficult to hear, telling
Yes.
you that you're hobo and all of those things, like, and in your heart that you're choosing the right decision, but at the same time, like, I would imagine it being disheartening to
Mhm.
have hear these negative criticism coming from your parents, who you deeply care about. So yeah, how do you like, kind of regulate that within yourself emotionally?
Yeah, that's been really hard. I think it's just been from my experiences because before I would rise up and yell back or lose my
Hmm.
temper, and that just made things worse. And then I
Right.
realized that really the best way to engage is to remain calm and centered. But
Mm,
I had to really find that self-confidence within myself first. And that took me
mm,
6 years of conscious working on personal development, so many self-help
mm,
books, working with therapists and coaches and groups and all these things to really find that. Because yes, I'm still struggling sometimes with feeling like I am enough or I am
yeah.
worthy no
Yeah.
matter what I do. I still
Same.
tie some of my worthiness to what
Hmm.
I'm doing in the world, what I'm accomplishing, how I'm serving other people. But
Mm-hmm.
I just remind myself we're worthy no matter what we do. Like that is unconditionally, we are worthy. And coming
Yes.
from that place, and I certainly do journal after
Mm,
an upsetting conversation with them. I just write it out, or I have a community, or I have certain people that, and that makes a huge difference having a
mm.
support. Because before, I mean, and this is all online connections that I've made, including
Yeah.
you, Clover. Thank you
Oh.
for being in my life. I so appreciate it, because it's my existing family and friends, no one can understand what I'm doing. So I think just finding like-minded people who also believe in this greater vision, and
Mm-hmm.
feeling that you have a purpose, that it would be a waste if we didn't honor ourselves and try to serve
Mm-hmm.
that purpose. But
Yeah.
balancing that, though, of course, with not uh, well, in my worst fear, one of my worst fears is just being that bankrupt hobo, right? Who just
Right, right.
bothers other people, because it's like, I can't afford to house myself. Could you,
Mm,
help me out? And so for that, I've been very conscious of giving myself multiple safety nets so that I have that.
mm,
And I think I remind them too, when they start going down that route. I'm just like, have I asked you for anything? I mean, no, I'm taking care of
mm.
myself, and just reminding them of more of the facts so that they don't get so caught up in
Ah.
the emotions of
That's
everything.
really smart. That's great. I guess, like, would you say that comes from your coaching experience to be able to ask, I guess, questions like that? Because previously, like before I tap into this whole self-development space, I don't think I would ever be able to kind of like question that. It's almost like challenging that like filial piety, like, you know,
Yeah,
yeah, with our parents. It's like whatever they're saying is always right. And then how do we break
sure.
free from like questioning, wait a second, I have my own ideals and I don't always have to listen to them. Right?
Yeah,
So do you think
definitely.
coaching was kind of like what helped you break through, or if you have other like tools that help you through that?
Oh, definitely. Coaching is one way. With therapy, it's another way. I think it's
Mm,
all about working on our thoughts and our beliefs,
mm-hmm.
and realizing that we were conditioned or programmed when we were
Yeah.
younger. We were just sponges, and we inherited a lot of beliefs from the people around us. So, usually our
Mm-hmm.
caregivers and our families. And then realizing, when that was pointed out, that I had that certain beliefs, that the world works a certain way, and then actually
Yeah.
questioning them, which is what
Mm-hmm.
coaching does. And I'm just like, how do I know that that's absolutely true? I can't know. Clearly, this belief doesn't apply for certain other people out there. So I think it's just, and I've become increasingly spiritual, but I think in general, we do carry a lot of control and responsibility for our results.
Yeah.
Whether we intentionally or unintentionally act in a certain way, that influences how people respond to us.
Mm-hmm.
They can sense our energies, and yeah, and just the way we carry ourselves too. It can create or take away opportunities for us.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so.
And is that why you founded Acceptsians, where you can help other people to realize that all the answer is really self-acceptance and self-love?
Oh gosh, let's see. When I started Exceptions, I didn't have that much clarity about that. I
Mm,
think when I started it, I just carried that I was basically a victim of well-meaning, but essentially a form of emotional abuse, when you're just criticizing your children,
yeah.
you're putting them personally at blame for their mistakes, and not accepting that
Hmm.
mistakes are just a normal part of life and being human.
Yeah.
And I know that in Asian cultures, especially, but many other cultures too, there's this emphasis on achievement and not being in touch with your emotions, just
Hmm.
suppressing it all, putting on a happy face and smiling, and just sucking it up, right? And
Yeah.
moving on. And I
Hmm.
was just like, these are terrible for mental health. And so
Hmm.
I just feel like so much we can benefit so much from learning to shift into a more acceptance mindset rather than achievement mindset, and then loving ourselves enough and accepting ourselves unconditionally. Because
Yeah.
yeah, and then so that's what spurred me to start it back in October 2019. And then since then,
Hmm.
that those ideas just really grew and crystallized from there. And I love
Yeah.
that it has
Yeah.
been.
And
Oh,
your
sorry.
community has been growing so beautifully too. There is a lot of like, other beautiful souls who are very unconditional and supporting each other, and just kind of seeing your journey in, bringing people together. And I'm sure like it's greatly appreciated for what you're putting out into the world, along with being a medical doctor, right? And I know that you are actually going back into that profession later on in February as well. So I guess you'll be
Mhm.
juggling both and still being on the road as well.
Yes.
So where are you gonna head off to? Like right now, because of like I guess the holidays, you're back home with your
Mhm.
parents, but I know you're going somewhere. Do you want to share with the
Yes.
audience? Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm moving to Vegas.
Yay! And it's gonna be warm.
Yes, because I love warm. It's kind of when
Uh-huh.
we know ourselves, right? The more life
Hmm.
experience that we know ourselves, I know I thrive most. I My mood
Oh
depends on the
gosh, yes.
weather. So warm and
Yes.
sunny places just always give me energy and
Yeah.
yeah, allows me to create and be the best version of myself. So I've always
Hmm.
wanted to go to a warm climate rather than the Northeast where I grew up. And then in the Midwest in Michigan's where I did some training. And so I'm just like, okay, I've always wanted to live out in California. That's been my dream
Yes.
state. But
Hmm.
because of the financial piece, I know California cost of
Right.
living is very high. So I
Yeah.
heard plenty of people move to Las Vegas, Nevada, which is close
Ah.
enough. So you can
Mm.
experience all the beautiful national parks and nature
Yes.
around there without the expense. It's like a
Mm.
quarter even, at least housing prices.
Oh,
I
is that
know of a
right?
friend, yeah, one of the admins in my Acceptsians group, Laura, moved there from
Mm.
LA to Vegas for the same price of a one bedroom. She got a four bedroom. So I'm renting one of her bedrooms
Wow. Oh, that's
for a
perfect.
bit.
That's amazing. And especially
Yeah.
working with like-minded people, that makes all the difference
Yes.
as
Being
well.
in there.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's
for
amazing.
sure.
So, would you say your the medical practitioner position, it's also nomadic? It's a remote position?
It is, yes. I
Mm.
drew the boundary. I was like, I'm not letting medicine, or if I were to go back, get in the way of my nomadic dreams, my travel dreams.
Yeah.
And then with, I guess, thanks to the COVID pandemic, this position became available because
Hmm.
telemedicine was growing, but I think it grew more from
Yeah, it really
COVID.
pushed it in that direction. It worked out perfectly because it helps you with achieving financial independence in
Hmm.
a faster speed, but allowing you to still live your dreams and the lifestyle that you wanted. So it actually
Yeah.
worked out quite well for you. And
Yeah.
since we were talking about financial independence,
Mhm.
would you say when did you discover it, first of all, and what is it, so that people
Yeah.
have a better understanding?
Of course. I can't remember exactly when I discovered it. A few years, I think I had heard
Mm,
about it, but
yeah.
I know the pivotal moment was when a friend gave me the book Quit Like a Millionaire. This
Mhm,
was
mhm.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, 2019 or beginning of
Okay.
2020. Yeah, 2019.
Oh, so last year, yeah.
And that book was just amazing because for them, they were just like, here's financial independence. Here's how anyone can do it. You just save a certain percentage of your salary or your income, and then you'll be free. So once you financial independence means that you never have to work for money again.
Mhm.
And I know it sounds crazy, right? Because most people have a hard time even saving for their retirement by age
Yeah.
65. But I think
Mhm.
it involves making very mindful changes in your lifestyle for the delayed gratification of a greater goal at the end, and having
Mhm.
that freedom. I think for people who like their jobs or love their jobs, that they're just like, well, yeah, why would I want to retire early from this or stop doing this? But I think for others, where we feel like our passion work is not necessarily lucrative or not even lucrative, but like bringing in a livable income, it's a great way to allow you to pursue your passions. You just reach
Mm.
that financial independence, and then and like, okay, whatever happens, even if my passion work doesn't bring in anything, I will be able to survive. I'll be able to meet my basic needs. And for
Yeah.
me, I've lived very frugally my whole life, and so I only need 20,000 a year to live on. And
Wow.
I do want a family. So, but I've also learned that kids don't necessarily need to be that expensive too. There's ways
Mm.
with like hand-me-downs and just
Right.
not the more, I mean, there's so much information out there, and it's hard
Mhm.
to, I guess I think they're all valid. I think it's just a matter of
Yeah.
picking what lifestyle suits you. And
Mhm.
yeah, for me, I've always valued experiences over material
Mhm.
things. So right now, as
Mhm.
a nomad, I've downsized to just a suitcase and a backpack.
You're so impressive. So impressive.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. Um, what, okay, so I know there's a formula, right, in terms of financial independence. So I'm just
All
going to
right.
explain a little bit
Yes,
how
please
that
do.
works when you were talking about the $20,000 a year of
Hmm.
expenses that you need to spend for your basic needs, right?
Hmm.
And so
Right.
there's a study called the Trinity study where they take a bunch of people, I don't remember exactly how many, where they say, for example, you need $1 million in your portfolio, and
Hmm.
it will generate about $40,000 of passive income, and
Hmm.
that becomes 4%. So they
Yes.
say if you draw out 4% of your portfolio, you will have a 95% of success rate in a 30-year time frame, right?
Hmm.
And so
Right.
that's pretty good for being able to retire early, right?
Hmm.
So that's kind of the formula that the financial independence world uses in order to calculate how much expenses they need per year. And so because you figure that you need about $20,000 a year, so that means that your goal of your
Hmm.
portfolio is how much?
It would be 500,000
Okay, so half a
savings.
million dollars like
Yes.
savings in your
Hmm.
portfolio, which usually it's in an index funds, uh,
Correct. The
right?
stock market.
In order to get the passive income to come through for you to not have to work
Yes, basically.
forever.
Forever. Right.
So that number seems a lot smaller than what people think that they need to retire with, because most people think they need millions of dollars in order to be financially free, right? And so it's just so interesting to be able to understand how that works. And once you figure out that's all you need, now you can go live the life that you want, and it's like almost breaking free from the chains and all the
Yes.
limiting baggage that society tells you that you need in order to have a good life, right? So I
Right. Or
think
be
that's such a
happy.
great, yeah, or to be happy. So because
Yeah.
you actually don't need that much at the
Yeah.
end of the day. Yeah. So it's so great that you tap into that. That's actually where we met as well, right?
Yes.
It's through Millennial Revolution, where the book "Quit Like a Millionaire" was, the authors of
Mhm.
them, and I think you found my blog post from there, and then that's how we reconnected. So we're really thankful for Christine Price
Yes.
to
Thank you, Christine Price.
connect us together. But yeah, no, that was amazing. So great that you're kind of combining a well-rounded approach with your life, because I think it speaks to, you are being responsible with your money,
Mhm.
using the method of financial independence. You didn't really waste your medical degree because you're still using it to generate income, but then you also lower your expense and cut out all the things that were not necessary for you to only need $20,000 a year. That's like really impressive. Um, and now kind of founding a community for other people to help them love and accept themselves. I think that's such a great inspiration for others to see that it's so possible to have it all in a way, right? But that in I guess reasonable, like doable way. That's why it makes your story really interesting. And there's kind of light at the end of the tunnel as well. If you're the type of person who were forced in a STEM field but never really truly loved it,
Mhm.
there's a way out.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess I guess I don't really see it as having it all because there are some sacrifices that I'm
Mm,
making in the
right. No,
choices
for
that I'm
sure.
making.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it is possible definitely to have more than you thought was available to
Hmm.
you. And
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
personal development. It's really just breaking free of the boundaries that we've had or the box we've been living in and just looking
Yeah.
out. And yeah. So
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, just kind of getting through that barrier in our head
mhm,
from what society or our family or generations have been telling us, so
mhm,
that we can take the right actions and believe that we can achieve the dreams that we can achieve.
mhm.
And so, do you do coaching as well on the
Yes.
side?
I
Yeah.
do. I do one-on-one coaching and then doing a couple of group coaching events, one-off or
Hmm.
ongoing programs.
Yeah.
But I want to start, I like the one-on-one connection with people. So
Mm,
yeah, I really
yeah.
enjoy coaching one-on-one and creating content. I hope to make courses later on. The areas that I most enjoy coaching in are helping people with that self-love and what it
Hmm.
means for them and navigating relationships, whether with their family or friends, just
Yeah.
really asserting themselves and what they want. Also, in romantic relationships, it breaks my heart
Hmm.
when there are those high rates of sexual assault and rape and
Mm,
disrespect out there,
yes.
both towards men and women. I know it happens more for women, but it's just, and I think people, we do that, and I'm personal victim of that myself too. Just
Mm,
not to that extreme, but to all the microaggressions and to
mm,
turning myself inside out as a people pleaser,
yeah.
just
Right.
because I wanted that love from someone else. I was so afraid of losing someone's
Mm,
love. And once we learn to give ourselves that love, then we're in a much more grounded, peaceful, powerful place. So
yeah.
it's really, I really feel called. I think it's one of my missions to help as many people as possible love themselves and go after their dreams, whatever they are, to create the kind of life that they've dreamed of. Because
Yeah.
it is possible. It's not easy,
Hmm.
or it's simple, not easy, right?
There you
And
go.
whatever
But
that
there
means
is
for
a
them.
blueprint for it. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
And we
I think
just need a
so.
community of people to be here to support each other along the way. And that's where your
Yes,
group exceptions come in.
yes, yes.
And where else can the audience find you if they want to work with you or read more about your story?
Oh, yeah. So we have the Exceptions Facebook group, but it's only on Facebook. I have a general website because when I first started my journey, I gave myself the name LT Nomad for my blog, which
Hmm.
was supposed to stand for long term nomad, but it's also my initials
Mm,
backwards because I was like, oh, it works with, okay, it was just a bad name in general
that's
because
okay. No,
Chinese
no, not
is usually last
necessarily.
name first. So it's Liu
Yeah.
Hong, Nomad. And
Okay.
so I has a lot of stuff. It has all the art projects that I'm doing because I care a lot about, like with our five Asian love languages, just spreading awareness of yeah, issues related to holistic health, mental health, or social justice or equality for others. And yeah, and I have a project that's all about using my medical background and
Mm,
explaining common women's health procedures. And there's stuff for feminist
wow.
comics and yeah, just whatever hits my fancy, I just draw it. And I've illustrated
That's amazing.
children's book. That's another thing, a dream of mine. I want
Wow.
to publish a book or
Mm,
a Japanese manga comic that's
mm.
all about diversity and inclusion and going for your
Oh, that's
dreams
so
and
great.
having a loving, supportive environment. I have some sketches, but yeah. And so all of these, I know that I have the rest of my life to work on these, right? And I think that's what is so powerful about reaching financial independence, which I'm hoping to do in the next 3 to 5 years. Then I can just see, okay, the rest of my life, I get to be a volunteer in service of others and
Mm,
following this guiding light inside and not worrying and not having to not waste, but kind of spend any of my energy doing something that doesn't bring me joy and that I'm not. I just feel like if I wasn't meant to do it, then I can't serve others the best that I can. Because I felt
yeah.
like as a doctor, it is noble work that I'm doing, but I just feel like
Mhm.
my patients deserve a doctor who's really, really passionate about being a doctor, who wants to be
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but at least you have found, another path that lights you up, because that could be difficult sometimes as well to find.
Hmm.
And one challenge I find that people who have reached financial independence are actually
Hmm.
not able to find that purpose. And so the fact that you've
Oh.
kind of found it early along your journey was also great too, because I've known a lot of people and talked to a lot of people, that's the difficulty that they have.
Mm.
So it's so great that you're working towards it and helping so many people along the way. So thank
Thank
you so
you.
much for being here, Toni. And
Thank
I'm
you,
sure a lot of
Clover.
people are so inspired by your story, and that definitely go, reach out and with your Facebook group at Exceptions. And also you have Instagram and Facebook as well,
Oh,
right?
yes. Yeah, LT Nomad, or you can just search my name. However you want to get in touch. I'd love to chat. And yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, last thing I want to say about financial
Yes.
independence, I feel like
Mhm.
some people see it as it's only an option for people who make a certain income. And that's not
Mm.
true. at
Yeah.
all. It's about the percentage of your income that you save. So people who,
Right.
right, you've met people at these fire events, these financial
Mm-hmm.
independence events who were teachers and they just
Right.
saved enough. And I was making a salary of like 50,000 a year and I was saving 20%, not 20%, sorry,
Mm.
50% of that.
Wow.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
very possible. So if you want to connect with me, I'm happy to look over your budget or even just
Yeah.
these concrete things. Definitely want to
Mm-hmm.
help as many people as I can set
Amazing.
on the path for their dreams.
Yeah,
So,
it's great. Yeah, I mean, just want to piggyback on that too, because I was a flight attendant and my
yeah.
income definitely is just average as well.
Yeah.
And I was
Mhm.
also able to, work towards my financial independence. I have now moved my number to be a bit higher. I was at like 90% of reaching financial independence, but now I'm like, I think I need more. So it'll be a few more years for me to work, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But just to say that there are examples of other people who can make this happen. So
Mhm.
yeah, just to give people that reassurance.
Mhm.
Amazing. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week. And so you can come back to watch our Unconventional Asians to really get inspired by people who dare to be authentic. We'll see you later. Bye now.
Bye.